staying with us, returning to us, and we will never let you down when you do that. So it's Keith Moore here at KDM and Associates out of our Federal Procurement Center office, bringing you day 2 of the Innovation in Agriculture Energy Opportunity Zone Summit. We're here with Miss Joann Hill, a native of Columbia, South Carolina. Joann Hill is the Chief of the Office of Business Development for the United States Department of Commerce Minority Business Agency. Ms. Hill has served at MBDA for more than 2 decades at this point, and I have had the pleasure of working alongside of Joann for many of those years. And it has been a tremendous, not only pleasure to learn about through the different administrations and different seasons where minority businesses have become the forefront of importance, even in a COVID environment, and especially in a COVID environment where there has been challenges. Ms. Joann Hill, as the Chief of the Office of Business Development, is responsible for the oversight of the office and all of the activity that generates new business opportunities for minority businesses. And if there's anyone who can tell you how to succeed and what works and even what doesn't, it would be someone like Joann Hill, and I'm so delighted to have her with us. And she is going to share a number of insights, I should say, on rural communities, sustainability of economic development, and innovation that we hope addresses some of the economic development challenges, particularly in rural communities. We like to think that innovation drives what works in advancing STEM in rural communities, particularly agriculture. And unfortunately, with climate change and the occurrences that we've had such a rapid surge of disasters, she can speak to the agency's commitment to make sure, particularly in this Build Back Better era, that minority businesses are truly at the forefront of the agency's commitment to engage in the contract opportunities to restore these communities. And for that, I'm very delighted. Without further ado, Joann Hill, we introduce you to our global audience here at the Innovation in Agriculture Opportunity Zone Summit, Day 2. Thank you so much for being here. It is going to be fun and indeed a pleasure.
Thank you, Keith. It is a pleasure to be here with you today, and I'm honored to be a part of your program this year. And you're right, we have watched, how the economy has evolved, and the points that you make with regard to climate change, and that's impacting everything that we do, from the agriculture that we grow across America, as far as the energy sector and how it's impacting, our environment. Yes, so I'm looking forward to our conversation and all of what we can share with our audience today to help them get engaged and understand where the future of business development opportunities stand.
As you know, Joann, you're from the South Carolina, and spent a lot of years in Atlanta, and I think you may even know a little bit about the neighborhoods in that region, with the vibrant minority business community, filled with a diverse, innovative approach to generating revenue. It's literally what they call hot Atlanta, right? So you have the benefit of that. And then you also have the benefit of so many years of being what I would call in Washington, D.C. as the Wall Street of America when it comes to public policy that is supported by federal appropriations. Why don't you give us a little bit of background, very specifically on the agencies over the course of your years, and its direct focus, and let us know a little bit about what you see in the here and now future under the Build Back Better era that we are in under the Biden-Harris administration.
Sure. So over the years, and I'll start with where I became got introduced to MBDA and joined the agency. Yes, I've been with the agency now just over 2 decades, and I started in the Atlanta regional office. At that time, I was, speaking of rural America, as a junior staff member, business development specialist, I was assigned, being from South Carolina, and I got assigned to the states of Alabama and Mississippi. Those were the 2 states that I had where I got to learn everything about commerce and what was taking place in those states, in the rural parts of those states, cities like Birmingham, Montgomery, Selma, Tuscaloosa, etc. Same thing in Mississippi. You know, we were in Jackson, of course, the capital, who we have a partnership now. We have a newfound cooperative partner now in Jackson, Mississippi. But we also had Biloxi, Mississippi, and other parts. Fast forward to where I really got my indoctrination, if you will, in those states was Hurricanes Katrina and Rita. And all of a sudden, you know, I got exposed to, in real time, the importance of stakeholders and understanding the importance of having relationships with the public and private sector at the state, local, state, and federal level in those states. And so as an agency, we did not have a presence in either one of those states at the time. But as a result of the catastrophic devastation that was stemmed from hurricanes Katrina and Rita, we ended up establishing a footprint, and I got to play a very critical role, really almost as the owner from a business development standpoint, way early in my career, for us establishing our original footprints to help businesses that have been impacted and displaced and devastated. And so fast forward to where we are today, and you could even see back then the need, the demand for what minority businesses needed, right? And the impact that it had on these rural communities. In Alabama, we had the Bayou La Batra fishermen, you know, that were down there near Vietnamese, down near the coast of Mobile, Alabama. That's where we ended up setting up an office. We ended up a business center for disaster recovery. We also ended up establishing one in Biloxi at that time. And then look at where we are today, back again. Hurricane Irma. I mean, we've got Ida, Irma, then Ida. Yeah, you're on mute. Yeah.
2 sisters.
Yeah. 2 sisters, well stated, but we're still dealing with, you know, bringing us to where we are today. We're still dealing with the same issues that have an economic impact on these communities, the businesses, and the constituents, you know, that reside in these communities. And we've worked very closely with any number of stakeholders to ensure that the minority contractors that are in these communities had a seat at the table. We work very closely with our sister agency, the Economic Development Administration. We worked with FEMA, the Corps of Engineers, the SBA, again, the municipals at the local, state, and federal level partners. And we were down there, you know, with them. I mean, we made certain that we put our money where our mouth was, so to speak. And we're doing the same thing today with regard to making certain that we provide the support that's needed. And Capitol Hill has been very supportive of that. I won't get into name calling, if you will, but what I can say with total confidence is that we've gotten support for each of those initiatives that we've implemented on the ground from the highest level on down, from a governmental support standpoint.
I would imagine that it's spurred even more so because of the impact that COVID has had on minority businesses, would you say?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's actually really it's exacerbated things, and we've seen where because now the whole East Coast really serves as a we have many ports along the East Coast region, coming from the New Orleans on around Florida, South Carolina, on up to New York. And we've had a very significant disruption to supply chains.
Okay, right.
And so, this pandemic has just had a ripple effect through our entire supply chain, but our economic tapestry, if you will, and it's being felt. And I think that even with the suppliers that are helping to build back some of these communities, things have been stifled and delayed and more expensive because of the lack of products and services, frankly.
So, Joann, you bring up an excellent point of reflection of Katrina, and now you can speak to it 20 years later with Ida, Irma, and the supply chain, corporate America. What do you say to corporate America on behalf of, if you will, MBDA at your level of the Chief of Business Development? And how are they responding in your opinion?
Sure. I say continue to ensure that minority business enterprises are included in your spend plans. They do have great products and services that they offer. And I know that there are a lot of moving parts at this time, but I do feel like this is a wonderful time for us to build back better together and to do it collectively and to ensure that oftentimes, I will say this, what we have seen historically as an agency is the communities that have been devastated and impacted, and the individuals, if we had to peel back the layers, if you will, to look at who are those individuals that have been most impacted by these catastrophes.
Right.
And they've been minorities.
Okay.
By and large, they've been minorities. And so we want to make certain that as we build back, we ensure that some of these firms that serve these communities and that are a part of these communities are a part of the spend plans that are being let with contracts to rebuild and to supply products and services that.
I would think that we might be at a precipice point of opportunity that is very unprecedented, in the sense that we're committed to a brand of Build Back Better, and even and especially in government, we recognize no one agency could do it alone and build back better. And so this may be a time by which intergovernmental relations and in terms of agency working together may again be at its height of opportunity. And we hope the very mere fact of innovation being at that center point, both in ideas, technology, programs, and budgeting, can all come together. And I'm really happy that we were able to introduce you to people like Eric Yost, who was on our today's discussion and represents vociferously, rural economic development and opportunity zones, which we didn't have 20 years ago, of course.
That's right.
To draw in developers, and private capital. Yeah. So what's your thoughts about the future moving forward, with all this that's facing us?
Sure. I will tell you, Keith, my thoughts are this is an impeccable time, very pivotal time for us as a nation with regard to a whole of government approach. We have a number of resources that can be leveraged. And again, to your point, the relationship that you facilitated, the intro between us and Eric over at HUD and Dr. Neil Kamara over at USDA. She's over there with USDA Rural Development, Business Development Program. Exceptional partner, exceptional partner. Again, our partners at EDA, Economic Development Administration, as the SBA. We are looking at how do we triangulate and coordinate so that we are working together to put forward the best public service to Americans. And the beauty of it is that we all bring unique resources. While sometimes folk might say, but they do that. Not necessarily. They might do something that complements that to an extent, if you will. But take, for example, MBDA. Our sole purpose, we are the only federal agency that is specifically designed to foster the growth and global competitiveness of minority business enterprises. There is no other agency that is designed to do that. So naturally, we're going to be focused on who are those firms? Where are they? We are very intentional about our mission and how we go about helping these firms, right? We have a number of studies that are underway that are being generated by our Office of Policy Analysis and Development. That is going to, we just established that office within the last year or so now. But we are being very intentional and very smart, if you will, about our strategy and approach to helping MBEs and leveraging resources both in the public and the private sector. Because I think it's a balance, you know, it's a balance. When I think about relationships that we have, you know, even speaking of innovation and agriculture and how do we sell more, make more, faster, better, quicker, and making certain that our intellectual property is protected. You know, we're partnering and working closely with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. That's a sister agency of ours. Same thing with the International Trade Administration. We want our businesses selling not only here domestically, but we want them selling all around the world. We need them selling products, not just here, but also internationally, because 95% of the world's consumers, and now it seems like it's gone up a couple of percentage points, 97% in the last periodical I was reading, those customers are outside of the United States. There's a whole universe of opportunity out there for us.
So you lead me to the next comment and question, and that is around, would you agree that from your historical perspectives to where we are now and the pace by which it's moving, which is rapid, undeniably, capacity building may be the center point of question of need for businesses? And would other agencies agree with the need for capacity building so that scale is possible? Let's just use our minority farmers who we've been, Acadian, much in the front of the brand of, we need to move from row cropping to US manufacturing. All right. What would you say to that from your perspective?
Sure, and thank you for that. Thank you for that question, Keith. Capacity building is really at the center of all things business development. You must know that that is going to be what companies are looking for when they want to bring you on board as one of their suppliers or partners, et cetera. And I've seen this over the years. You know, we have companies that might have, for example, we might have a company who is exceptional at their core competency, right? But the opportunity that they are pursuing to bid on requires them to have not only that one core competency, but 2 or 3 others.
Yes.
And while they might be exceptional at that one core competency, in order for them to be competitive, they've got to have the capacity. It's not that both government as well as private sector don't want to do business sometimes with those companies that pursue these opportunities, right? But it's because they don't quite have the capacity needed, and they don't want to, put it plain, run the risk, right? They don't want to run the risk of the project failing. And so, because that's their reputation. So what I say is, if you know and acknowledge, if you're willing to accept, you know what, I realize I don't have the capacity that I need, but I also realize I don't have access to, that's when you come to us. You come to MBDA. We have you now, Keith, as the operator of the KDM and Associates to lead us in our federal acquisition portfolio. And we want MBEs coming to us saying, hey, how can you help us? We would like to bid on these type opportunities, but we just don't have the capacity. Well, one of the things that we can do, and I can say this with total confidence over the years, is we have helped to facilitate teaming arrangements, joint ventures, strategic partnerships, where you can partner with a firm and that firm might bring you on, for example, as one of maybe several team members, right, to be a part of the bigger package. And the wisdom there is, frankly, if you're in business and you're about profitability and you can make money, regardless to whether you are leading the project or a part of the team, it's all green. It's all opportunity, and you're able to, meet, your cash flow needs, keep your staff on board, and in some instances, create new jobs. It could stem to new jobs. And so I would say, if you don't have the capacity, don't feel shy about that. Don't feel like you are subpar, because there are many companies out here that have used teaming, joint venturing, partnering to really help them get exposed, as well as to build their organizations, because you never know what the future holds. It could very well be that the team that you partnered with 5 years from now, 3 years from now, or maybe sooner, you might end up being the lead and they're joining you for an opportunity.
I'm going to give you the brand recognition for if you team, it's all green. Because, and it's so true. Okay, you got that. What I'm saying is that literally you're talking about, because let's face it, we're in October 2021. We've just come off of, and we're still in, a pandemic eco that has decimated, along with the disasters, communities, companies, hopes and aspirations. To me, this is an eco like never before, where a team approach is the approach to take so that you can scale beyond where you were pre-COVID.
That's right.
Imagine taking that ideology into every agency, recognizing, I believe that there's some power associated with going back to the Department of Energy and talking about the location of where those federal labs are, looking at the census data of where those MBEs are, talking about data, the use of data collection, aggregation, and analysis. So we're now not talking about those intergovernmental agencies with an intentionality to build back better and do more than we have done before to balance out what has been already decimated. But we already have these entry points of opportunity. And I can say that from working at the Department of Energy and knowing the federal labs and knowing where hub zones are and woman-owned firms and MBEs, and thankfully SBA has recognized it through their, even recent capacity building, navigator funding, and then EDA, Department of Commerce, has recognized a need for whether it's indigenous funding or that's a targeted area, disaster recovery, or our cities like Baltimore, and that is why we talk about Build Back Better Baltimore, or Mississippi, Louisiana, and the regions that you're all familiar with. It's an exciting time.
Yes.
No one can deny that. We hope to continue to bring the kind of industry at a diverse level that has that excitement and energy in spite of so many things that have challenged us. In fact, maybe some of the challenges have strengthened us. That's what we hope. So let's close out talking about our HBCUs and where they fit into the paradigm of things and workforce development, because I believe that in these 52 HBCUs located around the country that are in opportunity zones, there's a knowledge gap that can be bridged and filled both by industry and government, and public-private partnerships as a term that I've heard you use. Can you talk to us about your innovation and entrepreneurship program, your youth entrepreneurship program, even your, I think it's the prison reentry program, and how you see as an agency that fitting into the solution pipeline for opportunities, both for MBEs and the communities themselves?
Thank you, Keith. Absolutely. And so, so that was a lot packed in there.
It
but
was.
we're gonna.
I can't help it sometimes.
But we're gonna go there. So, so at MBDA we have several initiatives that you touched on. We are recently launched an MSI initiative with I think it's 4 different minority serving institutions, including HBCUs. We have had relationships with HBCUs in the past, and we will continue to have partnerships and relationships with them. They do have a place at the table. I feel that a couple of things with regard to HBCUs. They should be, we should be looking at how do we leverage them to help breed new talent that frankly can, and those entrepreneurs that I'm referring to are not necessarily those that are in the business schools. Now, I will say this because I am a business administration undergrad and a global MBA, right? And you do need people that can administer and run the organizations and have the macro economic perspective, if you will. However, these schools of science that are teaching these kids all of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, that's what's really going to be making us competitive as a nation. in this global economy. That's what keeps us as the world leader. We must leverage HBCUs to help breed the fastest growing demographic, one of the fastest growing demographics under the minority umbrella. Okay. And they have a very critical role in this conversation. And with regard to how we are posturing, our curriculum to ensure that we're offering best in class training and education for students that are graduating from our HBCUs. I'm an HBCU product myself. And I can tell you that I know the potential. I also know that we have to ensure that they have the resources. But I also feel that today, many of them are really beginning to see the upside. This administration has really made it very clear that HBCUs are a priority, and they are going to be a part of a central part of the Build Back Better agenda. And so I feel like it's a very pivotal, critical time and opportunity for HBCUs to be reaching out, staying involved and engaged, and looking at how to formulate. I do see them establishing more partnerships with the private sector as well. I mean, now they're starting to partner with Google and Amazon. And I don't know about some of the others, but those two, I know for certain. They're being very strategic, even corporate America, with how they partner with HBCU. So we will continue to be involved with them into the future. Those MSIs that we have includes an HBCU pillar up under that. So there will be more to come on that. The second part of what you asked me about was innovation. And as an agency, I'm very proud to share that MBDA let some grants over the last several years centered on an inner city innovation hub. We delivered grants where we partnered with NASA, Rice University out in Texas, and essentially that grant was awarded to help support, develop, and scale regional minority businesses that address needs, problems, and challenges in the aerospace industry. That was a first for us. And we were very successful with that particular grant. The very notable innovation program that we launched was our MBDA Envision Tour. And I was the MBDA Inclusive Innovation Initiative. And that particular initiative was centered on the minority business community. And we essentially provided an opportunity for them to be exposed to labs. You mentioned labs earlier, Sandia, Argonne, et cetera. But they were exposed to them and looking at how the federal government R&D resources could be leveraged to help them grow their businesses and really take their products from lab to market. We went on a road tour and visited several cities and stops all across the country over the past year and a half, 2 years. We did an aerospace diversity and policy research forum. We did a session on more paths to entrepreneurship, and the federal government. We also did a session on emerging opportunities in space technology and space commerce. We did a session on smart cities and satellites. And we also did a session on technology transfer and small business innovation research. We have great relationships with the SBIR and STTR community. We have several members on our staff who are steeped, if you will, in those relationships. And again, that was all a part of the MBDA Envision Tour. and encouraging space, as in outer space, and for MBEs to be to look at how they can play in that space. We've got a lot of innovative companies out here with new innovations, with technologies that can bring great added value to either a product that they might have already considered as an end product, but a product that might be complementary to another that could really bring it to the market, if you will. And so we have that initiative that we're very, very proud of. And you can find out more about that if you visit our website at mbda.gov. I've talked about the intercity innovation, which we're very proud of with Rice University out in Houston. That has also been a very successful innovation product for us as well, a project for us as well. And the only other point that I'll make with regard to innovation is, if you're out there listening and you're concerned or you have a need for product protection or intellectual property protection, let us know. MBDA works very closely with our sister agency, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. I've had several firms come to me personally within the last couple of months or so, looking at connecting with patent attorneys because they want to promote their product, but they want to make certain that it's protected, that their intellectual property and intellectual property rights are protected. And so look to us for that. With regard to youth, again, I've kind of touched on that with our HBCUs. That's really kind of where our youth bucket is right now. We don't necessarily have a youth program specifically, but under our HBCU and MSI projects, that's where we are really concentrating our efforts to support youth that are interested in entrepreneurship, supply chain, and other industry sectors that can be brought to bear, and for them to consider as either career opportunities or entrepreneurial opportunities into the future. And then lastly, I wanted to touch on the entrepreneurship for formerly incarcerated program that the agency has. This has been one of the most sought after grants, believe it or not, that the agency has put out. We have 4 new partners now, and you can find out more about who they are by visiting our website. Each of them are phenomenal. They have a proven track record where they have run programs, help these individuals from everything to getting educated, where they receive certifications in HVAC, certifications in entrepreneurial training, and helping them to really land and transition back to life, if you will. That's been one of the most gratifying programs we've had when you look at how do you help individuals that need a second chance, right? And we've been very successful with that program, so successful that we just awarded a second round of awards for that particular initiative. But there is a lot of talent just in some of the graduation type programs, if you will, that I attended, have been a part of. You look at some of these folk, they've gotten college degrees. They are now owning their own businesses and reaching back to bring in others who were just like them, which is really, when you look at the labor pool that we have and the opportunities that are stemming from these future industries that are really burgeoning, like climate, and technology. I mean, we have a lot of talents and skills that can be used to help build some of these things that we need to be built. And so I'm happy to see, I will bring it full circle with, I'm happy to see that when we look at the ecosystem and we look at who are the equities that we need to be teaming with and partnering with and coming together collectively with, it's not just all the major colleges and universities. Those are great, HBCUs, wonderful. But I would also say that, bringing in and pulling in the community colleges and the trade schools that teach, skills, these are the folk that are going to be helping to contribute to workforce development into the future. And I'm really happy that we were able to have this conversation to really talk about, what is it that we need to be doing to support the future of industry as it relates to agriculture and energy and all things that contribute to the growth and competitiveness of our nation.
Joann, you have literally hit the bullseye, went around 360, and just really delighted me personally, because I think you and I have been on the same boat ride for 20 years. And let me just say that as a founder of a drug and alcohol rehab in Asbury Park, I know passionately the reward, the award, both to the families, the individuals, the community, and the future of hope, when in fact you can see people come in one way, leaving out transformatively very differently. So kudos to MBDA for taking that on in their portfolio, number one. Number two, I have to go back in our closing comments here, all the way back to the Ron Brown on stage, getting an award. And I think it was Elon Musk who was there with a ship. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you ever want to question whether MBDA is serious, not only touching around the fringes, but getting into the center of what works, I'm delighted to say, and thank you, I'm humbled for, yes, being awarded a 5-year opportunity to show that we're very committed to minority businesses under the Federal Procurement Center. And we simply want to stretch out the umbrella so that this collaboration that we're seeking to engage with the partners in government happen as well with the centers, because that's where we can build and scale MBE revenue growth, job creation, and they can not only be limited by just being small businesses, but small businesses can be literally mid-sized businesses, and mid-sized businesses can be large businesses. And that's a formula and a pipeline that's realistic. We have enough performance improvement collaboratively together. We have enough program, policy, appropriation, and will, as some would say, from the White House to the outhouse. And to that end, we're living our best lives right now, if we truly believe that. And we hope that the Innovation in Agriculture Energy Opportunity Zone Summit, a 5-year commitment that leads, who knows, to what past that 5-year, will help inspire this type of commitment for revenue generation, job growth, small businesses, minority businesses, quality of life in communities, universities becoming partners to industry, so our workforce and our global competitiveness literally can scale, because we're rising our STEM and our STEAM workforce competency. Joann,
right.
Thank you so much. You and I could do probably at least another 30 minutes, but we both have other things on the docket for today. So we look forward to your acting director, Miguel Esteen, and we appreciate J.R. Baggedy for bringing a competency around access to capital, and so many other conversations that are going to continue and inspire. I can't thank you enough for being here today. It's been a pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joann Hill, Chief of the Office of Business Development at the Minority Business Development Agency, out of the Department of Commerce, being at the tip of the spear for our economy and what works.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you. And I would challenge our listeners to reimagine opportunity.
Reimagine.
Bright future ahead of us. Reimagine opportunity. That's our theme for this year. And so I want to continue to challenge you and take advantage of our programs. And Keith, it was an honor to be here with you today. Thanks so very much.
Have a great day.